Hey, thanks for joining us. We are live on clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and on YouTube. My name is Katrina Scales. I'm a producer here and the host of the Your Florida Daily podcast. And today we are talking about wildfires in Florida, how they start, how we prevent them, especially like the ones that we're seeing unfolding in Southern California. Our hearts go out to the victims and the firefighters out there dealing with what could be the worst fire we've seen in our lifetimes. So we're thinking about them this week. But localizing it here in Central Florida, we have our own wildfire season. And joining us is Cliff Frazier, wildfire mitigation specialist with the Florida Forest Service. Cliff, it's supposed to be a pretty busy season for Florida. It's chilly outside. A bonfire sounds pretty nice right now, not gonna lie. So I want to ask you, just to start out, what are some of the causes you've seen in your time at the Forest Service, causes of wildfires that have spread in Central Florida?
Well, it can be cause we get a lot of lightning strike cause wildfires, uh, but humans, believe it or not, cause over 75% of wildfires.
We're talking about
Whether it's from pardon me,
we're talking about cigarettes, bonfires.
it can be cigarettes, bonfires left unattended, campfires left unattended, or lawn equipment, heavy equipment. Anything that generates a spark can cause a catastrophic wildfire here in the state of Florida.
Is Central Florida currently at risk for wildfires right now, and when do we usually see that risk increase?
That risk is increasing as the day goes on. Right now, because we haven't had substantial amount of rainfall to get us out of this fire risk. The risk is pretty high right now due to the fact of all of the cold freezes that we've had that killed a lot of the vegetation, along with all of the leftover debris from the past hurricanes. That stuff is still laying down out there, and any spark uh, can start a wildfire right now. It's dry out there.
I was walking outside my home earlier this week, and I live in southern Seminole County, and I smelled smoke in the air as soon as I got out for work. Forest Service is working pretty hard right now to tamp down on all that dry brush that you're talking about that's still overgrown and on the
Yeah,
ground. Talk to me about what the Forest Service is doing right now to prepare for that increased risk.
our number one preparation is prescribed fire. I mean, we have the leading uh, prescribed fire program in the nation. We lead the nation in prescribed burning. And when I'm talking about prescribed burning, we have resources in place to go out there and conduct the prescribed burn. We do this to eliminate underbrush and dead vegetation, because in the event of a wildfire, it would be less catastrophic or devastating. We try to get out ahead of the eight ball, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, have those been happening lately? Is that what I was smelling earlier this week? Have there been prescribed fires in Central
Well,
Florida?
we burn year round. We do prescribed fires year round here in the state of Florida. Um, since January 2023, we've treated a total of 4,406,017 acres on state forests alone with prescribed fire. So that gives you some sense of how much we depend on it.
Wow.
Just during the last fiscal year, from July 1 to 23 to June 30, 24, the Florida Forest Service set a new agency record with 277,818 total acres treated on the state forest. That was within a fiscal year. So we take prescribed burning seriously, and that's how we prepare for fire seasons.
Wow. That's a lot of acres. And we've learned
Yeah.
from the past. We've had some pretty devastating wildfires here in Florida. And one I want to talk about
Yes.
in particular was in 2011. It was the Iron
Yeah.
Horse fire. It was southern
Yes.
tip of Volusia, northern tip of Seminole, even a little bit of Brevard got caught up in this. Tell
Yes.
me about what we know about that fire. And I mean, we know it burned 17,000 acres. I mean, it was
Yes.
massive. Just tell me what we know about that one and maybe what we learned from it.
Um, what we learned okay, let me give you a little history. We had one of our forestry area supervisors. He seen the smoke column that morning, and he went out to check that fire. And once he got out there, at he was out there maybe an hour or two or whatever. He noticed that we needed all of the he summoned all of the resources we can get out there because the humidity levels were low. I think we were in red flag conditions. I mean, it was everything was right for a major wildfire that day, that morning. He knew he felt it, and once as the afternoon progressed, that fire took off. The wind. I mean, as you can see, you're showing pictures now. That fire, it jumped I-95. The only thing slowed that fire was we got a little rainfall and we had did some prescribed burning and fuel mitigation work. That's what stopped that fire
Wow. Um,
because it was ripping and roaring.
it was
It was
massive.
ripping and it did that it did that overnight. I mean within hours.
I'll just say a little fun fact is it was called the Iron Horse Fire because a firefighter who first reported it was not too far from the Iron Horse Saloon in Ormond Beach and gave it a name, and that's what it was called, and it ended up getting in the history books.
Yeah, not in a good way, but it it got there.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
firefighters were hurt along the way from steam and
Yes,
a few
most
structures in
definitely.
Brevard.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, it was ripping. Had we not did prescribed burning and fuel reduction, that fire it would not have stopped.
I have a question for you. How does the Forest Service determine the containment of a fire? We'll see this fire is 50% contained, 0% contained. How do they come up with that number?
Okay, I'll give you a scenario. Just draw you a circle. Okay, and once that circle, say there's a line, say the fire is just burning. Once we put a circle around it, I'm just using that as an example, with our tractor plows, separating the soil and the fuels. I mean, that's when it's contained. Once we get that circle connected all the way around the fire, we call that 100% contained. Or if that circle is 75%, that's what we're doing. We're working on the perimeter. Once we get the perimeter of the fire, a circle around the entire perimeter of the fire is 100% contained. And that's how they get their percentages.
Does the Forest Service use
Did,
any
did you fo-
special?
did you follow me?
Yes, you got to make sure you have all sides of
Okay.
it so you identify where it starts and ends. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, the fire has a fire line has to be around the entire fire for it to be contained.
Got it. So when
And
we see 0% contained, like the fires in California that are just raging up a
that
hill
means
and out of control.
there's no line around it. There's no line around it. It's just burning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Pretty
just
scary
burning.
images out of California right now. And just,
Oh,
there's only
most
so
definitely.
much that firefighters can do. I mean, like when something is spreading faster than what humans can reasonably
Yes.
follow. Yeah.
The wind, those Santa Ana winds, that's what's got that fire moving like that. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with a friend from Malibu just yesterday, and he said his home would have got burned down had it not been a wildfire there like 4 weeks ago. He was telling me that burned all of the vegetation, so it didn't have anything to burn, so his home survived. That's a form of a prescribed fire. You know, they had a wildfire, they were able to get that one under control, but this last one was ripping. It wasn't the only thing stopped it. It didn't have anything to burn.
I think that's a great segue
Yeah.
into our next question is what can people do right
Okay.
now in Florida to protect their homes? I know you guys have something called the defensible space. Can you explain what that is?
Yes. What we normally call defensible space is 30 feet perimeter around your home. Just clear out dead underbrush, dead leaves, dead grass. Uh, Within 30 feet, trim your tree limbs up a minimum of 8 to 10 feet off the ground. We're not asking you to go out there and cut every plant out of your yard or every tree or whatever. But these are some precautions that you can take. Anything that, in the event of a wildfire, to help your home survive, remove it away from your house for 30 feet. Like just say LP gas tanks or whatever, or firewood stacked up next to your porch. Move it out 30 feet. So it'll not only give your home a 95% survivability rate, but it'll also allow fire services to get in there and protect your home. But if you haven't done this, you haven't taken the necessary steps, we're not going to risk the firemen not going to risk their lives or the equipment going in there. But with 30 feet of defensible space around the perimeter of your home, homes have been known to have a 95% survivability rate.
So we're talking about nice green grass or some kind of freshly
Yeah,
watered
just keep it,
space.
keep it, keep it cut low. This is if you live in a wildland urban interface. If you live out there in the woods, uh, something to think about. It's not if a wildfire should occur. If you live in a urban interface, it's when the wildfire occurs. Because if you live out there, it can be lighting, it can be electrical, it can be human caused or whatever. But just make sure you've taken the necessary steps to prevent your home from losing your home or property. Give yourself that 30 feet of defensible space. Clean your gutters, like remove the firewood, like I said earlier, remove the firewood from near your uh home or what anything that can serve as fuel to the fire. Try to remove it from the immediate area of your home, perimeter of your home.
Follow-up question: when a wildfire is actually coming, we saw a lot of images out of California, people hosing down their roofs, hosing down their yard. Is that effective? Would that help prevent fire?
I'll give you another example. We've had wildfires in the middle of rainstorms. So that hose, it may help some, but if that wildfire is there's no water. There's not enough water in this world to stop those wildfires out there in California with the wind pushing them. I'm saying so. A water hose, it may be a mental thing, but that's not going to do anything. It's best to try if emergency services say evacuate, evacuate. Leave that hose. You can replace that hose in that home, but you can't replace you.
Well said. Well said. I've been talking to wildfire mitigation specialist with the Florida Forest Service, Cliff Frazier. So much good information there, whether you're a recent Florida transplant, if you're a longtime Florida resident. This is all stuff that we need.
Long time.
Same here. And I
Oh,
learned 4 things today, and I'm going to do to protect my own home from this season. Go ahead.
yes. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I thought you had one more thing to say. I'm wrapping it up here. I would love to share
Okay.
this information with our viewers and our readers over on clickorlando.com. So look out for an article there. We will write down all the things that Cliff suggested and a few of the facts and pieces of Florida history about wildfires
I
in
got,
Florida. What's up?
yeah, I got one more thing I forgot to mention.
What's that?
What what really made the Florida Forest Service gear? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. What really made the Florida Forest Service ramp up their prescribed burning program were those catastrophic wildfires that was burning throughout the state in 1998. We learned a valuable lesson then that we needed to be more proactive and get out there and do more prescribed burning. So the wildfires that come now, we're able to get better containment of them quicker than letting them burn like uh, and turning into catastrophic wildfires such as the one out in California.
Yeah,
That's,
longtime Floridians will remember that one. That was
oh
massive. We're
man,
talking about
yes, yes,
hundreds of thousands
yes.
of acres. Am I right?
Yes, and we had resources from all over the country and all over the world. assisting with that.
We've come a long way from there, and I
Yes,
really
ma'am.
like to
Yes.
think we won't repeat history in that way. But sometimes Mother
I hope.
Nature can
Yes.
have its own decision for us, and there's
Yes.
only so much we
Yes.
can do.
Yes.
So all these pieces of advice are really important for anyone as we go into the driest months of the year. Keep that
Okay.
buffer zone between the brush and your home. And
Yes.
if you are
Yes.
living in a wooded area, especially Seminole County, where I live, it is very
Yes.
woody in some areas. You really should know
Yes.
your risk
Yes.
and just be prepared for
Yes.
anything that can spark a fire. So thank you, Cliff, so
Exactly.
much. This was so
Yes.
interesting. I
Okay.
really appreciate your time, and we will catch up later on in the wildfire season. Hopefully, nothing
Oh.
catastrophic
Okay.
between now and then, but we were going to follow your advice, and we really appreciate your insight
Yes.
on all this.
Yes. And you can call me anytime you feel like it. I don't care. I answer my phone at all times.
Sounds great. Okay, Cliff, thank you again, and
Uh,
thank you all for
uh,
watching us on News 6 Plus, clickorlando.com, and on YouTube. We will put all of this information up for you on clickorlando.com. See you next time. My name is
Thank
Katrina
you.
Scales. I'm the host of Your Florida Daily and producer here at WKMG. See you next time.
Okay. Bye bye.